Once upon a time, in a very far away island, there used to live a sage who was very widely known for his powers, for his accomplishments, and for his abilities. One day, he was sitting under a tree while a group of children came near that tree and started hitting that tree with stones in hope of getting some fruit to eat. By mistake, one of those stones missed its target and directly hit the sage's head. The sage became very angry. The sage got up and started shouting on those children. He said, "You ignorant fools, you don't know what have you done. You don't know who I am, and I am going to curse you." The children became very, very scared and they all started apologizing. But suddenly, one of those children came in front and said that I don't believe you are a sage. Sage was very confused. He continued that I don't believe you are a sage. He said that I think that this tree is much better than you, Mr. Sage. Sage became more and more confused and shocked on how does he not know me, on I know so much and I have accomplished so much. Sage asked, "What are you saying, little child? Don't you know who I am?" The child replied that I know who you are, but I still think that this tree is much better than you, Mr. Sage. When I hit that tree with a stone, it gives me fruits in return, but when I hit you by mistake, you start cursing me. I think that this tree is much better than you. Well, the sage was in a state of dilemma, and so was I when I was reading the story. Just like the stones in this story, we often have to face criticism in our life. Sometimes people appreciate us, and sometimes people criticize us. And I know that criticism always feels bad, but do you know that criticism can help you grow a lot? So in today's video, I am going to tell you the power of feedback and constructive criticism. I divide all categories of feedback into three types. First one, the positive feedback. Second one, the constructive criticism. And the third one, the useless criticism or the useless feedback. I am going to tell you how can you grow from a beginner to an expert at any particular field, any particular domain, using those three types of feedback that you get. So do like, share and comment on this video so that it can reach more people, and do subscribe to my channel if you are new here. So without any further delay, let's get started. So today we are going to discuss three things. Firstly, what to do when you get a negative comment on your work. Secondly, we are going to discuss about the three types of feedbacks and how can you leverage them to grow in no matter what domain or profession you are in. You can leverage them to become an expert at your field. And thirdly, we are going to discuss on how can you know which feedbacks to work upon and which feedbacks you should completely ignore. So without any further delay, let's get started. If you want to access these slides, you can go to this URL, which is madhavbehel.tech/slides/beingbetter/5, since it's the fifth episode of the Being Better series. If you haven't already, do check it out on my YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/theleanprogrammer. You can go to this channel and click on the playlist section to check out all the episodes of my Being Better series. Being Better is an initiative where I upload every weekend one new video on topics like self-help, productivity, and your personal growth, which will contain some actionable tips which you can use to start being better and growing in your own field. So coming back to today's topic, what should you do when someone comments negatively about you, when someone gives you a negative feedback? I know it can be super annoying and super difficult to deal with these kind of comments. I know it's very difficult when you put in a lot of hard work into something and some random person just comes in and says things like, "Oh, it's not that good. Oh, you could have improved. Oh, this is terrible," and things like that. But trust me, even if you are getting the negative feedback, trust me, you should be really happy about it. And I am going to tell you just the reason why. So what should you do when you get criticized? Follow these 6 basic steps whenever you get a negative comment or a negative feedback. Firstly, appreciate yourself and be super, super happy. Trust me, this is very important and there are some reasons for it. So remember that not everyone dares to do good things, not everyone is working hard. There are so many people who just keep dreaming about doing this and that, but they don't do it. They don't have enough motivation to do it. They are super lazy to actually put in the hard work. So you are not one of them. You should be happy that you are not one of those people who don't go outside their comfort zone and do things. You are the performer, so you should be super proud of yourself. And now secondly, you should remember that this world is full of noise. This world is filled with so much noise. Everyone is doing one thing or the other, and everyone is craving for attention. But the matter of fact is, not everyone does it. There are so many, there are thousands and millions of people creating content on social media, but don't not everyone gets that attention, not everyone gets that engagement. There are so many people who are putting in their hard work into no matter what they are doing, but they are not getting enough visibility. So you are not one of them. Even if you got the negative comment on your work, still remember that you got the visibility. It means that your work is getting some visibility. So you should be proud of yourself. And about the negative feedback, you can eventually grow. You can eventually work on it and improve on that part, and that I am going to tell you how to do that in this video itself. But firstly, you should be super proud of yourself that you actually did something which got visibility, which millions of people are craving out there but are not getting. So now the second step is to take a step back, turn off your internet, or maybe just walk away from the person who is yelling at you or who is maybe telling you some negative comments, and relax for 10 to 15 minutes. Remember that in such a situation, I know it can be difficult to deal with this situation, and it's very simple to get annoyed and angry in these types of circumstances when the other person is getting angry at you or is just telling you on face that you suck, and that is super difficult to handle. But just take a step back at that point itself, and there's a reason behind that. If you get annoyed at that point and if you get angry at that point and say something that can be acted against you, that can be used against you, that is going to become a big problem. So now the third step is to listen to the other person. Try to understand what he is saying. He might not be criticizing you because he hates you. Some people actually don't know how to put it forward in a polite manner, but from inside they really want you to grow. So do try to understand what was the case. Does the person actually hate you, or is it just that he wants you to grow? And is that particular feedback that he gave, is it true? Can you take some action on it? And just think about it. And while thinking about it, take this fourth step: have empathy. Maybe the other person was actually thinking good about you, so don't be biased or don't be having a negative thought in your mind that he or she definitely hates you. If it is some real feedback that maybe you are at fault, so just keep that point in mind. Now fifth thing is, try not to get too defensive, so don't end up wasting your own time. This especially happens in online scenario when someone, for example, if you put up some content and someone says something random on your content in the comment section, and you start querying with them, you start a whole debate, and you say that no, my point was right and yours was wrong. Then he says one more random thing and you say one more random thing, and it keeps on going forward, and you just realize that you have wasted your whole day in a simple, mindless and meaningless conversation. So don't let that happen. Remember this second step, to relax for 5 to 10 minutes. And then if you understand that this is a worthless and a meaningless conversation which is going on, just end the conversation by saying thanks for help and God bless you. Trust me, this works like magic. So whenever I get a negative comment on my content online, and if it's something that I can work upon or something that I can improve on, I become really happy. But if it's some worthless hate or some meaningless hate comment, I just say thank you for your help and God bless you. And trust me, these two simple lines just shuts the other person and he won't continue after it. And it's much easier than and much better than wasting your own time. Now let's come to the three types of feedbacks and how can you use them to become an expert at what you do. So let me tell you how can you grow from your feedback. So there are three types of feedbacks. First one is the positive feedback, second one is the constructive or the negative feedback, and the third one is a category which I called the useless feedback. Don't worry, I'm going to tell you about each one of this in detail in this particular video. So do watch this video till the end. And if you are looking for this flowchart or the presentation, you can also go to my GitHub repository, which is github.com/madhavbahel/slides. Here you can find each of my presentation which I give or for my YouTube videos as well. So do star this repository and do share it with your friends as well. So the first type of feedback is the positive feedback, which is very much self-explanatory, which more or less corresponds to the rewards that you get for your good performance. It might not only be the rewards, it might even be the appreciation that, for example, your boss might appreciate you if you do some good work. Your friend might appreciate you if you help him, and so on. So these are just some positive words or positive rewards that you get for your good performance. So it is very, very essential and very good for the initial motivation to get you started. But remember that always getting positive feedback can be very harmful for your long-term future. Firstly, it does not tell you what the things that you're doing wrong. And secondly, you might get addicted to people's good comments. And the first bad comment that you will receive after a long term of good comments, that will be very, very difficult to digest. So use this particular feedback, the positive feedback, to actually move yourself from the beginner level to intermediate level. Remember this line, the positive feedback from beginner to intermediate level. Now the second type of feedback is the constructive criticism or the constructive feedback. So this is the kind of feedback when people let you know about the areas where you can improve your work or where you can grow, where there is a potential of growth. So you might have understood that this is very, very essential for long-term growth, because if you never even know where can you grow or what are the areas where you can perform better, how will you perform better? Awareness is the first step towards improvement, and generally we aren't able to be aware of our mistakes ourselves unless and until someone else comes to us and tell us that, hey, XYZ, you are doing this wrong. It can be improved or it can be done in a better way. People sometimes are polite enough to tell you in a good way, and some people are not. So it's essential that you should not become defensive on these particular kinds of feedback. So use this to move yourself from the intermediate to expert level. First, you get some motivation by some good comments and by some good rewards, and you get more motivated to move yourself from the beginner level to the intermediate level. And once you are at the intermediate level, once you have enough confidence in the subject, now seek for the things that you are going wrong. At this point, do ask your colleagues or do ask the people whom you work with or your friends about the things that they don't like about you, about the things where you can improve, and about the things where your work can improve, where your performance can be improved, and then use that information to actually improve. But wait, remember that the timings of these two can make a huge difference. If you go for negative feedback while you are a beginner, it can make the whole scenario opposite. You might actually give up on the thing. So for example, if you get the negative feedback when you are just starting to do something, for example, if you are learning to code and someone keeps on telling you that you are not good enough, you don't know this, you don't know that, you might become demotivated and eventually you might quit. And on the contrary, if you are at an intermediate level, or if you are confident enough on your work and still you keep on getting positive feedback, you will never know what you are doing wrong. So you will never be able to reach that expert level, that advanced level. So remember that the timing of utilizing these two feedback is very important. So remember that these feedbacks can act as a blessing or a curse depending on the timing timing of these two feedbacks. So it's very essential. So now coming on to the third feedback, which is, I believe, the most important category, the useless feedback. This feedback can prove to be really, really disastrous for you if you are looking to grow. So on your journey, you will always find some kind of people who will hate you no matter what you do. Even if you help them, even if you do something for them, they will still hate you. So their feedback can be disastrous for you because they will keep telling you negative things about yourself, which might not even be true and which might demotivate you, or which might lead you to grow in the negative direction based on their feedback, which is not even true. So learn to ignore feedback from these people, or these type of feedback which I call the useless feedback, at all costs. Learn to ignore it. So again, I know I have told this a lot of times, but this is very important. So hear it one more time, the last time. Start with the positive feedback, learn from the constructive feedback, and ignore the useless feedback. But here comes the question: how to know if the feedback is useless? And it's a very important question. Sometimes you might ignore the real constructive feedback based on the fact that you think that it's some useless feedback. How to differentiate between both? Simple. Get it from multiple sources. Get it verified from some trusted sources and multiple sources. So remember that if it is coming from a single source, it is just an opinion which might or might not be true, which might be relative and biased. But if it is coming from multiple sources, it is a feedback and it will show you your area of growth. For example, if you are working in a team, ask all the team members of your performance of the things or the work that you do. If one person is saying that you are just super bad at your work, and all other are saying that you are very good at whatever you do, then that majority is correct. That single person is not correct. So that's it for today. Do subscribe to my lean letters, which is tinyletter.com/the lean programmer, and do subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't already, youtube.com/the lean programmer. See you next week with a new video in Being Better series. All the best. Bye bye.